Hey guys, it's Kevin. I'm back, and today is actually going to finish up the third week that I've had the Caliburn G. So I wanted to take some time to address some questions that people put in the comment sections of my videos, and also just talk about a few random things that I like, that I don't like, still after having the Caliburn the Caliburn G for 3 weeks. So with that said, I'm going to be coming on to one of the first things that has started to become a problem. And I've got my little silver Caliburn G. As you see, still beautiful, perfect draw. Very cigarette-like, very nice, even I would say like an airy but somewhat restricted mouth to lung hit. But one thing that I've started to notice, and go to pull this out, all right, the top, the drip tip here is starting to get loose on the pod. So that's something that I think as time goes by may end up becoming a problem. I have noticed with this drip tip here, and this is all actually started today, so on the last day, the final day of the third week, right, coming in, pulling this off, it's loose up here at the top, all right? So if I'm gonna go and switch things or whatever, it's not a problem if you do all of your refilling from here, right? But I think that that's part of the reason that these things are loose. It wasn't something that I was having too much of an issue with, but I have been doing a lot of just cracking of the pod here, and I also just have been struggling with not smoking, I think, in the past week. And you know, I haven't, so that's good. But so I've been wanting to change flavors a lot and pull the pod out. I've been wanting to change up the you know, the lung hit, the airflow on the Caliburn. So I have been pulling these pods out quite a bit lately, and I'll show you a little bit in here. And this is bad news, right? With this pod that ended up leaking on me, okay? I have two little bad news things here. But I actually swapped out the drip tip from that pod with this one, and within a day it started giving me, like, it started getting loose. But this is the drip tip that was on top of the mouthpiece drip tip, whatever you want to call it, right? That was on top of the pod before, and as you see, I try and pull it out, try and snap it in, it no longer snaps and it no longer stays. So I was kind of stuck here with the pod in here, trying to even figure it out, go in here, grab it with my teeth. I grabbed it with my teeth and pulled it out. So not the greatest thing, but again, watch. So I'm gonna place it in here, and I'm gonna try and get this to click in. By the way, I'm a painter, so not bleeding or anything like that. But again, it's not going in anymore. So there's got to be a worn down piece in here, like a worn down section on the drip tip, and it's no longer working. Okay. Now, as for this pod here, I wanted to show it to you. This is the pod that the first day I had this, and I have my, you know, I have my pocket fire. One of my commenters actually, you know, had something similar to my pocket fire happen, I think. And what ended up happening is the coil ended up sort of melting into the pod, and the pod started to expand, right? When it got that hot. So again, this was on the first day. I thought I threw this pot out, and I didn't. And the reason that I know that I didn't throw the pot out is, you know, I just kind of, I have like a little toolbox in my car that I put spent pods in, or spent coils, just the basic, for different devices and stuff. The basic idea here is, you know, maybe with some of them I might try and fix them, or I might try and you know, soak them, clean them out, whatever, right? But I had one of these in here and I didn't realize I did. But so the reason that I know that this is the same one is, when I had the fire, or the misfire happen, you know, since I've had it, it just will not register the coil. It won't register that the pod's actually in. I mean, now I just turned the device off with 5 clicks, but so there's no way to actually work it. I mean, the pod is completely cached, completely messed up. And now I have, with a knife, I have with pliers, been able to loosen the coil and be able to pull it out. But even upon changing the coil and putting this in, or I'm sorry, even upon changing the coil and placing it into the like into the device, right? It still doesn't work, because ultimately, and this is what I was trying to hide it to show you guys, it lost an O-ring in here. So there's like a little O-ring that fits in to the pod, where the pod, or I'm sorry, where this black piece connects into the rest of the clear pod, and that seal's gone. So that kind of shows that with that heat, with that misfire, to me, it did expand the overall size of the pod, and that was the thing that caused it to leak through into my pocket, right? And also just burn the hell out of this coil. This coil, so this is actually a fresh coil, but the other coil does not work anymore. So the other coil was burnt, destroyed. Now, my coils, I think I ultimately went 16 days with my coils before, with my original coils, before I changed them. I had the one that went out in 7 days, and I went 16 with the next one, or with the other ones, right? And I ultimately changed them just because of pretty much like ADD, right? Like, I wanted to try just my new juices, like that I'm making on my own, you know, my DIY stuff, and I wanted to play around with different formulations of, you know, VG to PG, trying to get like higher nicotine and higher VG stuff, despite having a nicotine base, which is all, or which is 50-50, like Salt Nic. Haven't been super successful with that. But one thing that I did want to show you is, when I did change my coils, I got a dud. And so I had it wicked up. It had been sitting, I don't know, probably even like 20 minutes. And, you know, I'll always prime my coils by putting a drop on each one of the little open areas here, you know. So when you're priming a coil, you want to put drops in each of them. And then even I'll drop 2 down the main chute, okay, down the chimney. And then I'll fill the pot up and let it sit for a bit. I'll also, like, initially, and then before I actually fire it up, take a couple puffs, even give it a couple blows, but puff, and you know, until I start to, you know, have the taste a little bit in my mouth, even without firing. I put it in the device and, you know, go for it. Well, within a minute, the coil burned out. And, or I mean, it burnt. It was a pretty heavy burnt hit. I tried to just, you know, empty the pod, you know, reprime the coil, put some new juice in, and ultimately I went in and I decided that I was gonna try and clean it out. So I cleaned it out under water, and I told somebody else, you know, essentially how to do this. And then I decided to put it in and soak it in distilled water. And I placed it in a Tupperware thing. This is what came out of a fresh Caliburn G pod. Now, in distilled water, okay? It smells of juice, okay? It's really just not that, I don't know, like, I mean, it doesn't smell of rust, okay? But one thing that just lets you guys know is that if you think that you're gonna be able to soak these, you know, for a day or two, you're not. Now, I mean, the stuff started coming out, like the oxidation started on it, like after I let it soak for maybe a day or whatever. I did pull it out, wash it, and then I put it in distilled water again just to see, you know, what exactly was going on. Is this oxidation? Is it juice? Is it burnt stuff? At the end of the day, it's oxidized. So I'm gonna say that I would not recommend trying to recondition these things. As you see, there's a bunch of junk in there, right? And it was just an attempt to see. So when your Caliburn G coils are done, just toss them, right? They're not that expensive. They're really not. If you buy them online, and you know, like even if you're paying shipping for them, they're 20 bucks for 4 of them. I think you could probably easily get 2 weeks out of them. I am, you know, a pretty heavy vapor. Now, I do usually have more than one pod running too, though. So I suppose you could say that, you know, if you're only using one pod, you know, maybe you get less time than I would because I'm switching. But either way, just something to kind of think about. You know, I was actually talking to the owner of my local vape shop the other day, and you know, I went in there just looking for like, I go in there looking for like clearance juices and stuff. They have clearance juices for like $5, and I was looking at like, you know, 12 milligram freebase stuff to see how that would perform in the Caliburn and everything. And you know, they got their Caliburn G's in, and you know, she was just asking me how it performed, how it's been for me. And you know, I told her it's great. I mean, the flavor is unbelievable. It's unreal. And you know, she asked like how long the coils have lasted, and I'm like, well, like, I mean, they could probably have went longer than 2 weeks or 16 days, right? But I just got kind of fed up with them. And you know, she reminded me, you know, these things are made really very cheaply in China without any kinds of warranties or anything to kind of guarantee the quality work. And you know, it's been her experience that if you can get a week out of a coil, you're doing well. And now, of course, she would prefer you to get a week because she sells those coils. But regardless, no matter how you vape, no matter how much you vape, what kind of juices you're vaping, just pick the stuff that you like and get a realistic idea of how long the coils are going to last you. And remember, it costs here in Chicago. I actually live outside of the city where cigarettes are cheaper, and cigarettes are still like $7 a pack, or almost $8 a pack. So when you think about the fact that you could go into that local shop, they were selling them for $20 and get 4 coils. Well, right there, I mean, you know, as long as you don't smoke 2 or 3 packs of cigarettes, you're already doing better. So, and I don't know very many people that smoke a pack a week, right? So if that box of coils lasts you a month, even, because they only, you know, work for a week at a time, think about how many cigarette packs you would have smoked in that time. So just something to keep in mind when it comes down to us, like, scrutinizing, well, how, you know, the Caliburn OG lasted me like 3 weeks, or man, I had one for 2 months, right? When you think about it, like, that's really great. Like, that's also very lucky. And I honestly don't think I would keep a coil that long, because, you know, I might end up wanting to get a different flavor in, and, you know, certain flavors tend to linger and everything. So just something to think about with that. Now, one thing that I can report that is pretty good news is I've only had one dud coil out of, let's see, so I mean the original coils that I got, and then I opened up the replacement pack for that one. That actually came from a replacement pack. So whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna count them out, but let's say one dead or one dead coil out of 10. All right, pretty decent. You know, the other coil that came out of that pack was fine. So I'm trying to think what else you guys might find pertinent. The burnt hits, right, that I was getting, they did tend to come from like 50 milligram salt nick. So 50 milligram salt nick, and that did even include my do-it-yourself stuff at 50-50 blend. So at 50 PG, 50 VG. I adjusted the recipe that I had to be, you know, 60 VG to 40 PG, and I've had good results. So, you know, this is coming from 60 to 40, 50 milligram nic salt, right? Now that's with the Montalon, right? Somebody was asking me about, like, why I'm not really getting, or why they're not really getting that many, or why they're not really getting clouds and stuff like that. And the answer that I kind of was trying to tell them is that, you know, it really depends on the amount of, you know, VG that's in there. And I totally lied. This isn't the 60. This is the 60. So I'm gonna just add some more to this, because I actually do get pretty decent vapor production out of this. I guess I was just kind of low. I was pulling it in and out a lot. Anyway, we'll see. But no spit back, anything like that. Pretty good, you know. Trying to think of any real, like, downsides to this. You know, like, it's just the fact that the battery still isn't big enough. I have to have other devices. So I do have 3 of these, and you know, here, let me actually pull out one of the other ones that was charging. Not having a problem. You will see there is a little bit of condensation that kind of builds up. Not a ton. It's really hard to see because I've been thinking about upgrading my phone, you know, so I have a better camera and all that, but not a ton of condensation. I think the condensation might be even at this stage, not even really from the coils, but the pods. The pods are really cheap to replace. I want to say it was like $5 for 2 of them or something like that online. So maybe having some extra pods might not be a bad idea. I'll probably just order some more soon when I put in the order for the Caliburn, the Cocoa Prime, and extra coils for that. But again, vaping on this, I'll have to taste it to see what flavor it is, but there's my 60. So as you see, there's more vapor that comes out of this. And Liz is laughing at me. But let's see. So the difference between your 50-50, right? And you hear that bubbling. Like, I mean, maybe when I filled it, I guess I filled it a little high. That's the problem. It's bubbling, but the condensation's in here, right? It's not actually coming out to your mouth, right? So there's not any spitback happening, but so I guess I overfilled that a little bit. $50-50. $60-40, right? So pretty significant difference in terms of vapor that's coming out of this thing. So again, pretty solid. And overall, guys, you know, again, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching the videos. I'm gonna actually try and do a little bit of editing, make it look a little cooler this time, give myself a title screen. I should probably have a title for the channel, but then I use it for my students, so I don't want to, I don't know, like I don't want to be the vape professor or something like that. Like Liz was even joking with me before, you know, about that. So I'll think about that kind of stuff. You know, like I said, I'm, you know, just doing this to kind of motivate myself and motivate other people to, you know, continue their journey of not smoking and just trying devices that I like. There's a couple of devices that I have my eye on. They've got a new Inikin coming out. Definitely the Cocoa Prime. I can't wait for those 1-ohm coils to come on these things and to have like another Cocoa like form factor just in my hand, you know, and it doesn't have a fire button. So I'll probably pick a couple of those up actually. And then, you know, I have been looking at like the Drag Max and stuff like that. You know, the Weenax stylus looks pretty cool. I've been thinking a little bit about, you know, like trying either the Lux, the new Lux that's coming out, or the Vinci X. So if you guys have any recommendations about those, I know some of you actually have recommended some of those devices. Please keep sharing them. So you know, like I said, I've been thinking about that. And then also, like, if you have like a kick-ass like candy do-it-yourself like Nick salt recipe. That'd be cool to share those, because I'm trying. Unfortunately, I found with like the do-yourself like juices and stuff, you have to add so much more flavoring, and I'm gonna have to buy a higher VG juice if I continue to use the 0.8 coils from this, because definitely VG tends to wick much better in these, and it's probably because it is a sub-ohm coil. I would guess when the Cocoa Prime comes out and we've got our 1 ohm coils, you know, Nick Salt will be the king of that. So I'll probably end up changing that around. But anyway, guys, thank you very much. Keep subscribing, keep commenting. I really appreciate you guys coming in here, checking things out. And every single day I've got comments to address and questions to answer, and you know, like just kudos and stuff like that I get, you know, for doing these things, and I really appreciate it. Stay safe, you know, and take this thing one day at a time. Had a really rough day. Really wanted a cigarette, and I didn't. So I guess it's a journey. I'm at 14 weeks, I think, 14 weeks on my app. So getting there. All right, guys, take care.